Most of the default PHP settings are fine, but in this video I'm going to show you how to change them by editing a file called php-ini. I'm recording this lesson on Mac OS X because 2 or 3 of the configuration settings in MAMP need tweaking. If you installed XAMPP on Windows, you probably won't need to make any changes, but I encourage you to watch this video because it's useful to know how to edit the configuration settings. And the basic process is identical on both Mac and Windows. There's just one minor difference that I'll point out at the appropriate stage. The first task is to identify the location of the configuration file that's being used by your testing server. Make sure that the server's running. Here in the MAMP control panel I've got 2 green lights which confirms that everything's okay. If you're using XAMPP on Windows, you'd have a green running label next to Apache. To find out where the configuration file is, run php-info. I've already got it here in my browser. I'm using the page that I created in the setup folder, config.php. And the location of the configuration file is here in loaded configuration file. Now don't be confused by this line which is immediately above that says configuration file php-ini path. On this machine, the basic path is the same in both cases. That's not always so, and if you change the wrong version of php-ini, your changes will be ignored. So it's important to make sure that you check the value of loaded configuration file, and then navigate to the file using either Mac Finder or Windows Explorer. So here I am in the Mac Finder. I need to go to Applications, MAMP, bin, PHP, PHP 536, conf, and here's the php-ini file. You need to edit php-ini in a text editor. Now in Windows, double-clicking the file automatically opens it in Notepad, but that won't work on a Mac. On a Mac you need to right-click or control-click and select Open With. And the program I'm going to use is called Text Wrangler, which is an excellent script editor for the Mac, which you can obtain free of charge from www.barebones.com. So I'm going to open that with Text Wrangler. And php-ini is a long text file. It's more than 1,000 lines long, but most of it consists of comments. Comments are indicated by lines that begin with a semicolon. As you can see, all these lines here begin with a semicolon, and the commands themselves are on lines that don't begin with a semicolon. The first command you can see here is engine equals on. Because it's such a long file, I'm going to use the search utility to find the first item that I want to change, which is error reporting. So error_reporting. You can see that it's taken me to an area that starts with a semicolon. In fact, this is a long comment which gives you all the details of the various levels of error reporting. And the actual command is down here, and in a Mac it is error reporting equals all. Now from Mac you need to change that by adding a vertical pipe. The vertical pipe character is usually on the same key as the backslash, and then E_strict, all in uppercase. It's case sensitive. The next change is just immediately below that, which is display errors. On your remote server, display errors is usually turned off. This is for security reasons. Not only does displaying errors look bad, it can also give vital information to malicious attackers. The final setting that you need to check is magic quotes. So I'm going to go back to the search facility and type in magic quotes and find that. Now, in this version of PHP-INI, the only setting for magic quotes is magic quotes Sybase. We're not particularly interested in that one. The one that you need to change is magic quotes GPC. So if it's not there, you need to add it yourself. So it's magic _quotes _ GPC. And the setting depends on the setting that you've got on your remote server. If your remote server is off, you should set this to off. If your remote server is on, you should set it on. Now on my remote server, the setting is off, so I'm going to add off there. And then just save the file. And once you've saved PHP-INI, you need to stop the server. And if necessary, insert your administrative password and then restart the server. Once it's restarted, go back to the configuration page and reload it. And now if I scroll down to the core section, I should be able to check that the changes have been implemented. And the first one that I can check here is display errors. I can see that that is now on, which is as it should be. The value of error reporting now reads 32767, which is the recommended level for PHP 5.3. And the last one that I need to check is magic quotes GPC, which are now off. So my testing environment on a Mac is now ready to go. Making changes to your testing server configuration through editing PHP-INI sounds a daunting prospect because it's such a long file, but it's really quite simple. Just make sure you edit the configuration settings on lines that don't begin with a semicolon. And don't forget to restart your web server after making the changes.